Hey guys, Magenta's back here today again with another Buddyfight deck profile. It's been 2 weeks since the last video because I've been really busy with some other shits. So anyway, finally completed my Katana World Ninja build. It's a pretty budget version of the Ninja build, but it's still nonetheless still a Gojin Maru build. So we'll just get on with it. So this is a combo deck, which ends up being really aggressive after you set up your combo, because your defenses are so strong you can just go face, keep hitting your opponent's center. And we even have cards with shadow dives that attack your opponents directly. So let's get on with it. So our buddy monster is Nano Machine Ninja Byakuya SD. Size 1 monster. Shadow Dive, this card can attack your opponent even if there's a monster in your opponent's center. If you have a monster with Tsukikage in its card name on your field, this card gets 1 crit. 3k power, 1 crit, 1k defense. So that's our buddy monster. So moving on to the size 2s, we run 4 copies of Ghoul DT Gojin Maru. Size 2 monster ninja attribute. 7k power, 7k defense, 2 crits. Call cost, Ghoul DT combination. Pay 1 each and put a card with Tsukikage and a card with Byakuya in its card name on your field into this card. So basically you have 2 of those monsters, and when you call it, you put both of them into his soul. So he starts with 2 soul. Yeah, that's about it. So he has Shadow Dive, same as Tsukikage SD. Byakuya SD, I mean. Move, double attack, soul guard. So 7k power, 7k defense is really strong to move into your center and protect yourself. So your opponents probably can't clear it off easily, especially since it has 2 soul. So 4 copies of Gojin Maru. So moving on, how to be consistent in a ninja deck. You run 4 copies of this Yumi Ninja Suiha Ninja Water attribute. Size 2 monster, 5k power, 2 crits, 3k defense. Call cost of pay 1 gauge. When this card enters the field, search your deck for up to 1 size 1 or less ninja, put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. So basically this is your extra copies of your Tsukikage or Byakuya. Yeah. So moving on, we run 4 copies of our buddy monsters. These are cards with Byakuya in its card name. And we run 4 copies of Tsukikage SD. So basically it's the same art. We just move the size 2s out. So you can see they share art. Alright, moving on to Tsukikage's skill. Tsukikage's skill, when this card enters the field, you may pay 1 gauge. If you do, call a monster Byakuya in its card name from a drop zone by paying its call cost. If this card is in the soul of a ninja monster, that monster gets 1k power and 1k defense. 3k power, 1 crit, 1k defense. Size 1 monster. So basically, if it's in Gojin Maru's soul, Gojin Maru becomes 8k power, 8k defense. So what's better than 7k? Obviously 8k. Yeah. I mean, these are the key cards of the deck. So moving on, we run additional copies of Byakuya. 2 copies of the normal Byakuya. This is because basically Tsukikage acts as additional copies of Byakuya, and we need Byakuya in the drop zone, so yeah, better more Byakuya than Tsukikage's, I guess. And basically, since Tsukikage acts as Byakuya, because you can call it from the drop zone, so you can essentially have your Yumi Ninja Suiha search out your Tsukikage and call it onto a field, and then you can have Tsukikage call out Byakuya, so it's really combo oriented. Yeah, that's about it. We don't run the normal Tsukikage because this is really kind of budget. I mean, normal Tsukikage it's pretty good, but that's hard to find. I mean, one thing is about the price of the card, next thing is about the accessibility of the card. Alright, anyway, we run 2 copies of Hidden Sword Ninja Seiketsu. Shadow Dive, 3k power, 1 crit, 1k defense. When this card deals damage to your opponent, put the top card of your deck into your gauge. So really efficient gauge increase. So that's it for the monsters. Basically, all we have to do in the deck is just to set up for Gojimaru and we are good to go. So moving on to the items, we run 3 copies of Water Slash Sword Murasame and 3 copies of Ninja Blade Kurogachi. Ninja Blade Kurogachi is just your normal Drago Fearless clone. And Water Slash Sword Murasame, 4k power 2 crits. At the end of your turn, destroy this card. Ritual of Water, at the beginning of your main phase, this card is in your drop zone. You may pay 1 life, put this card from your drop zone into your hand. So another use of this card is to combo with Byakuya. Alright, we've actually forgot to go through Byakuya skill. So what does Byakuya do? Size 1 monster, 5k power, 1 crit, 1k defense. Counteract. Nano Machine Clone Exterminate. You may discard a non-monster card from your hand. If you do, stand this card. Shadow Dive. Yeah. Basically, you can attack with Byakuya and you can discard this card to the drop zone. And the next turn, you can return this card to your hand. So basically, it's a free restand for Byakuya. Pretty good, pretty good. Especially if your opponent floods the board, you can use Byakuya with its 5k defense to just 5k power to just wreck your opponent's monsters. Alright, moving on to the spells. 4 copies of Dragon Energy Clone. Ninja Art Steel Ball. Choose a ninja in battle. For this turn, give it power 3k, defense 3k, and counter attack. Works really well with your 8k defense Gojimaru. Alright, moving on. Art of Body Replacement. If it's not a link attack, nullify the attack. So doesn't really work well with Gojimaru since they usually do a link attack on your Gojimaru, but it's okay. Early game you can protect yourself with it. Moving on, 3 copies of 100 Demons Tome of Judgment. What does this card do? Discard entire hand and draw 3 cards. Dragonic Grimoire Clone. You may only cast this card if you have 5 life or less. Basically it allows you to cycle through your deck for your Gojimaru even quicker because you get desperate as your life drops below 5. Alright, moving on to the next card, we have Clear Serenity. Put 3 cards from the top of your deck into your gauge. You may only cast this card once per turn. So it's pretty good. I mean, you can keep up the gauge cost for your Yumi Ninja Suiha and your Gojimaru, etc, etc. Yeah, so moving on, we run 2 copies of Art of Explosive Hates Fall. Cast cost, pay 1 gauge, choose a card from your deck, put it face down into this card's soul and shuffle your deck. When a monster enters your opponent's field, you may look at this card's soul and reveal it. If the revealed card is the same size as your monster, blah blah blah, destroy it, deal 2 damage to your opponent, then destroy this card. Basically, it's a set spell, so how it works, simplify it, you take a card from your deck, let's say your Tsukikage SD, put it face down into this card's soul, and it's set on your field. So when your opponent calls a size 1 monster, you open the card. So let's say he calls Tsukikage SD, and then you can open yours. It's like, open. And then it has the same size, you get to destroy his monster, and you put all of these cards into the drop zone, and you deal 2 damage to your opponent. That's how this card works. So it's a monster destroy, and deal 2 damage to your opponent. Pretty good. So next, we run 2 Sword Skills Send No Send. You may only cast this card during a link attack on your opponent's on a monster on your field. Pay 1 gauge, nullify the attack, and destroy a monster that attacked on your opponent's field. Basically, works well with Gojimaru, I guess. Alright, moving on. 2 copies of Ninja Art Snake Gaze. Cast cost, pay 1 life, rest the monster on your opponent's field. Works well against monsters with double attack or monsters with insane effects after attacking. So yeah, and it also acts as an additional spell nully. Pretty good. Alright, lastly, for the spells, 2 copies of Demon Way Busuma, basically White Dragon Shield clone. Next time damage will be dealt to you this turn, it is reduced by 2. Yeah. So that's just additional spell nully, additional nullification spells to save your ass from getting kicked. Lastly, 2 copies of Absolute Sword Azure Cascade formation. So what does this card do? Pay 3 gauge, deal 2 damage to your opponent, or for this turn, next time your life will become 0, discard your entire hand, your life becomes 1 and deal 2 damage to your opponent. So you can either use it offensively or defensively, but probably gonna use it defensively. So it acts as kind of like a burn nova. Yeah, and you get to deal 2 damage to your opponent immediately. If your opponent is just at 2 life, you're probably gonna win the game just from that point onwards. Yeah, so pretty flexible card, or you can use it to deal that last 2 damage to your opponent. Yeah, that's about it. So the main point of the deck is just to set up your Gojin Maru, and just win the game from there, because double attack Shadow Dive, 4 damage every turn, plus you can call additional size 1 monsters and your item. That's pretty strong, man. And yeah, I mean 7k can get rid of a lot of things. Raging Spirit wouldn't be a problem as well. Yeah, so general thoughts, I think this deck is pretty good. Yeah, and yeah, I mean it's quite affordable as well for budget players out there, because it doesn't run the normal Tsukikage. Alright, anyway, that's it for this deck profile, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like down below. I don't feel well. Leave a like down below to show me some support. If you're new to my channel, subscribe if you'd like to see more Buddyfight deck profile card reviews, stuff like that. So until the next video, which is going to be a few hours later after I get enough rest, it's going to be on my Blue Skynet's deck right here. Because Blue Skynet's got a lot of support. Basically just 2 cards that make Blue Skynet's pretty consistent. I mean, yeah, that's about it. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and do look forward to the next video. Also, do remember to add me on Facebook. You can ask me to check out a deck. I can give you some comments on it. Just stuff like that. Alright, so see you in the next video. Goodbye. Take care.